Let's get over to CNBC's Steve Kovac, who's joined by the CEO of Epic Games, Tim Sweeney. Steve?
Hey, thanks, Kelly. And Tim Sweeney, thank you so much for joining us just a couple days after this court ruling here that you initiated, actually. And I wanted to get your thoughts and reactions on it because we're now here with a court order for Apple to follow these rules. We're already seeing that in effect. We're already seeing, like Kelly said, Spotify take advantage of this new payment system they can take advantage of. But on top of that, potential criminal charges against Apple and one of its executives who the judge says lied under oath about this case. And I just wanted to ask you, Tim, if when you started this whole lawsuit several years ago, was this the end game that you sort of envisioned?
Well, I'd always hoped that Apple would, in my view, come to their senses more quickly and actually find a path to change the rules themselves rather than waiting for a court to tell them. But Apple chose to fight it out. And, I've always firmly believed in the righteousness of opening up all of these platforms, iOS and Android, to competition in payments, competition in digital stores, and competition so that the services Apple offers can be competed with by any other developer building a better service.
So, Tim, you've already said that you're going to resubmit Fortnite next week, I believe, to get back in the App Store. We've already seen Spotify do this. Last night, they submitted their app for alternative payments. It was approved by this morning very quickly. At the same time, you've also said if Apple opens up this policy worldwide, right now they're only doing it in the United States, but if they do it worldwide, you're willing to drop all litigation and cases against them. Have you heard anyone from Apple saying if they're going to open it up outside the U.S.?
We haven't heard any answer back from Apple on that yet, and they've so far only changed their policies in the United States in response to the court ruling. But Apple faces a real choice. They can either determine their own destiny by changing their policies proactively in the entire world and avoid, a landslide of litigation and legislation that's coming from all kinds of developers and regulators around the world. Or they can face the onslaught. And I've always felt it would be much, much better for everybody, including Apple, and especially Apple, if they would proactively make a change for the better. Give up some short-term revenue in exchange for opening up the platform and entrusting developers to build larger, better businesses and deliver consumers more value.
And Tim, this is something developers have been talking about and asking Apple for a number of years now. This is not a new complaint. At the same time, you were experiencing this. You played by the App Store rules early on before your lawsuit, before that moment where you put out that app update that allowed different kind of payments that got you booted out of the App Store. I want you to think a little bit about now what your revenue is going to look like compared to skirting around these App Store fees compared to what they were in the prior paradigm where Apple was taking a rake off of all the transactions there. What kind of monetization, at least in the United States, are you expecting to see compared to what you were seeing back in the old days?
Well, first of all, I have high confidence now that the court has removed all of Apple's scare screens and friction from their installation, from their payment process, that we'll have a large number of customers choosing to use Epic Games' payment service and preferring to get savings passed along to them by using our payment service than using Apple's far more expensive payment service. So I'm really optimistic about that. But, Fortnite was last in the iOS App Store in 2020, and a lot has changed in the world since then. We've seen a huge increase in mobile gaming, while console and PC gaming have remained constant. And so, looking back at 2020 and the peak of our iOS timeframe, 10% of our revenue and a little bit less than 10% of our playtime was on mobile devices versus PC and console. Now, if you look at the modern mobile era Roblox, you'll find the majority of playtime on mobile, especially in developing economies and other places around the world. It's an increasingly mobile world. So I think our business is going to shift a lot, and we have massive growth opportunities over time as these open rules that the court has now imposed on Apple in the United States. Europe has imposed on Apple through the Digital Markets Act. As these rules spread around the world, it's going to be a boon for us and for all developers who are making apps.